Good morning, church. Pastor Ben here again with your daily Devo. Thank you for joining us. Today I want to talk to you a little bit more about basic principles. Where we've been is we said if Jesus said to put the kingdom of God first, what does that look like? How does that play out in my life? And we've explored a bunch of different things about what it means to be a citizen of the kingdom of God, what it means to rule, and what it means to serve, and what it means to live that life, how you become a citizen, and what are the expectations when you are a citizen. So today, I want to read you something from the book of Colossians that will shine a little bit more light on this. Now, the context here is about slavery, but I think it still applies to those of us who are employees of someone else. Beginning in chapter 3, verse 23, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord and not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. Now that's interesting. We talked a little bit about inheritance in a couple of videos ago. It is the Lord Christ you are serving. Anyone who does wrong will be repaid for their wrongs, and there is no favoritism. So let's put this in a little context. If this really is talking to slaves, then in that situation, those slaves had to do whatever their master said, no matter what, with no opportunity whatsoever to change their situation in life. So if Paul tells a slave to serve his master as if he's serving Jesus, how much more are we to act that way if we are actually getting paid for what we do, for the work that we do every day? This is where, for the Christian, the rubber really meets the road. This is so important. Our work life, our careers, our jobs, those are our mission. As a citizen of heaven, as a member of the kingdom of heaven, as a member of the kingdom of God, that is your primary mission. That is where you really have to apply the principles of the kingdom. Because no matter what you do for a living, on some level you are benefiting somebody else. You are doing that work that you do for somebody else's benefit, especially in a free market economy like ours. There's an implied assumption that the work you are doing is something that somebody else is willing to give up some of their resources, their money, to have that thing. Whether it's a service you're providing, whether that's an object you're making, whether that's a trailer you're building, somebody's going to pay for that. So in some way, shape, or form, you are doing something that will make somebody else's life better. At least they think it will make them better. Otherwise, they wouldn't spend the money on it. They wouldn't buy that thing if they didn't think it was something that they needed or wanted to make their life better in some way. So when you're doing that work, this is a high calling. You're doing this work for them, to provide them with something. In addition to that, you're providing a service to a boss or shareholders or your company. So at some level anyway, you're providing something of value. Your labor is something of value to the shareholders or the owners of your company. Doesn't it make sense that you should serve them to the best of your ability? Don't you think Jesus would want you to serve them to the best of your ability? Of course he would. And lastly is your co-workers, the people that you work around. You're serving them at some level. We say in the industrial world that our customer is the next guy on the line. I'm providing a service to him. Shouldn't I do that with all my heart, to the best of my ability? One of the things that we talked about in this whole concept of the kingdom and what it means to be in the kingdom and what it means to be a human being is that God expects us to behave in a certain way. Jesus showed us that people who are his followers and the truly human ones serve others, take care of others, look out for others, and not for themselves. People who don't act that way act like subhuman. They act like animals. And we even use that language to describe their behavior, that people behave like animals. They behave like beasts. What do beasts and animals do? Well, they look out for themselves. I mean, we see some examples in the animal world of animals that seem to be having somewhat human reactions to situations, but for the most part, all they care about is getting enough food or eating another animal or propagating the species. They don't look out for each other. They don't really care about each other. What they care about is survival. When we act that way, when we act like the other people at work or our boss or the things that we're doing, when we are only looking out for ourselves, we're acting just like an animal. And Jesus says, I don't want you acting that way. I want humans to act like the way that humans were designed to act all along. And so, Paul says, when you do your work, do it not as if you're doing it for a master, not as if you're doing it for a boss, even though you are to serve them. But if you want the right attitude, what you'll do is do your work as if you're doing it for Jesus. This is a high calling and really hard to do. But this is my challenge for you today, that you will find a way and pray to God to help you to do your work as to the Lord. Thank you so much for your time today. One more video in our series and we'll be done. God bless you and keep being the church.